Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get straight to the intro. Welcome back to the channel, and if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support, man. I'm very humbled. Stockton is on fire, right? Man, drive-bys, shooting at kids' birthday parties. Stockton is going crazy, man, and the community is fed up. And I get it. I absolutely get it. So, on Wednesday night, or excuse me, Tuesday night, there was a drive-by shooting in Stockton, and the city is still reeling from this shooting at this birthday party, unfortunately, where children lost their lives. The community is fed up. They're tired of gangs. They're tired of retaliation. They're tired of tit for tat. They're tired of drugs. They're tired of poverty, and they're tired of people targeting innocent individuals behind he said, she said, that she said, he said. Now, there was a drive-by that was done, and I wanted to do this video to kind of clear the air because there's a lot of speculation going on. Immediately when this drive-by happened, people took to social media, to the internet, to news, to obviously tie that mass shooting that happened at the birthday party with this drive-by. I'm here to tell you there is no tie between the two. Okay, unfortunately, there was a person who lost their life, and there's a cold twist in the story because when you find out who it was who lost their lives, you are going to be like, oh, I remember her. Unfortunately, things happen. So the victim in the situation of the drive-by was Abdulia Sanchez. Where have you heard that name before? If you guys recall, in 2017, she became infamous, right? Very infamous for being a 17-year-old kid that was driving in a vehicle with her 14-year-old sister in the passenger seat when she was live streaming. And I say to people, man, this is why I always say, if you're going to live stream, if you're going to do your thing, do it in a place where you're comfortable, where you're stationary. Don't be out there cruising around, laughing, trying to show people where you're at and doing all this. Because if you're not paying attention to the road, if you're inebriated, if you're drunk, if you're high, if you're trying to show off for the camera, for the gram, or for tiki-taki, or for tube, or whatever it is, right? You're not thinking straight. Your eyes are not on the road. You're not paying attention, and you're putting your life and whoever's out there in danger. I always say in life, I'm not worried about my driving. I'm worried about other people hitting me, right? That's just how that goes, and everyone's saying the same thing. But if someone's not paying attention, tragedy strikes, right? And tragedy struck in 2017 for Abdulia Sanchez's sister when she was in a car wreck. Now, what makes it so infamous? Car wrecks happen all the time. Things happen. The fact that she was live streaming and continued to live stream and smile and laugh even after her sister was ejected from the car, that's what made the case so big. That's why national news moved in on it, and we all know about it. Now, I knew about the case because it happened in Merced County in the city of Los Baños, which is right there where I'm from, right? I'm from Merced. Los Baños ain't too far. And so it was kind of like not only big national news, but local news, right? It was a big deal. It was a big situation. Now, for those of you that don't know the backstory, this woman was cruising around with her sister, being obnoxious, being outlandish, being boisterous, being crazy, having a good time and showing off and trying to get clout on the internet when she wrecked her vehicle and her sister went ejected flying out of the car. Now, because she continued to aggravate the situation by laughing and smiling and continuing to record, that's what was the mitigating factors. That's what people tripped on. Now, she was arrested for endangerment and also for a vehicular manslaughter. Okay, involuntary vehicular manslaughter. She was sentenced to 6 years, but because of overcrowding in prisons, because the prisons were that filled up, she only did less than a year and kind of went off into obscurity. Now, when the story was hot, it was hot. Then when it's not, it's not. Obviously, she found herself in the city of Stockton, California. And let me explain to you guys something. Stockton has been off the hook lately. With this mass shooting and the world's attention right now, the United States, everybody here, our attention nationally is on this mass shooting and how, unfortunately, children lost their lives and even a 21-year-old. And I know a lot of people are pointing fingers in his direction, saying he could have been part of the problem, and he definitely wasn't part of the solution. But I'm here to tell you, he has family members. Everyone in that, all victims, not even the ones that were shot, or not the ones that were killed, but also the ones that were shot, have family members. And we need to be kind-hearted and humane and have integrity and use our values to let people know that everyone there was a victim. It doesn't matter if they were a gang member, an ex-gang member, they had tattoos. They were shot for no apparent reason. There's never a good reason, and I can't justify a reason to use violence and harm on anybody, unless they're weirdo. We'll do that one. And they do something bad to children, or let alone point a gun at a child. You know, I remember back in my days, actively gangbanging and all that. It would never even be a reasoning in my mind to pull up to a kid's birthday party and open fire. Just wouldn't do it, right? So Stockton definitely, it's a loss of words to say when it comes to Stockton right now. But obviously, the mass shooting hasn't stopped anything. Not a damn thing, because now you have drive-bys not even a couple days later. And immediately everybody got on social media and was trying to tie the two together. See, they're out there retaliating. It's tit for tat, because obviously when it comes to gangbanging, active members doing the thing, you kind of correlate the two, right? That's usually what happens. But in this situation, man, when's people going to slow down and realize children just lost their lives? The city is reeling. The city is going through some emotions right now. A lot of emotions were invoked because of this tragic, unnecessary killing of kids. And the gang members out there and whoever's doing the thing now, I don't know if the shooting, the drive-by that happened with Abdulia Sanchez was gang-related, but at the same time, usually when it's a drive-by, it has to do with gangs, right? We're not going to say that it is or isn't, because right now the police have no suspects and they haven't put anything out there that's saying this is tied to a gang-related shooting. But isn't it crazy how Abdulia Sanchez met her karma? You know, I say this, when you do evil shit, or you have bad energy, or you make some bad decisions, or you victimize people, karma's real. See, there's two things undefeated in this world I learned a long time ago. One is the internet, and one even more so than that is God, right? And you can't escape fate. You can't escape the internet. You will be exposed for your shenanigans, and you can't escape Jesus and God, period. I'm not trying to get religious on you. I'm being real. You can't escape it. If you do negative things and you take the initiative to be negative, you're going to get negative results and a negative conclusion. And in this case, unfortunately, I don't want to say this was Abdulia's karma, but it definitely starts to look that way. Now, that also lets you know that we live in a very small, tight-knit world. Very small world, right? You hear about this story nationally. You hear about, and a lot of people, it piqued their interest. You know, a woman driving crazy, live streaming. Her sister dies. She's still laughing, still driving, acting like it's no big thing with her dead sister right there, right? It was a big deal. It obviously was a big deal. And what happened? Let me explain to you what happened. Years down the road, she dies tragically in a drive-by. Her sister died tragically at her hands because of her decisions. And here we go. Now she's dying. Now, I don't know the exact specifics of the case as far as why she was murdered, or why maybe she was an innocent bystander. Maybe she was targeted. Maybe she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But she definitely, I don't want to say had that coming, but it was written in the cards, right? It was definitely written in the cards. Like I said, it was fate. And, you know, what a tragic life to live at a very young age, dying in a drive-by shooting. And what tragedy, you know, she eventually, after she was less high and less inebriated, and the realization hit her of what she did to her sister and how she did it and how heinous it seemed, because she was live streaming and laughing. You know, I'm sure the emotions hit her. She felt every bit of that. And to have to live through that and barely getting your life together or doing whatever you're doing, you know, I don't know if she was living well, or she was still in the mix, or she was ever in the mix. But at the same time, to die tragically in a drive-by shooting, that kind of sucks, man. That's a life wasted. Just like the lives at the Stockton mass shooting. A lot of lives wasted because people don't know how to make the right decisions. The youth nowadays, this young era, are not making the right decisions. You know, someone told me it's tragic what happened. You know, it's a tragedy. It definitely is. But you know what's more tragic? When it comes to the gang lifestyle, the tragedy is not what happens when you do life in prison for killing someone, or when you get killed. That's not the tragedy. The tragedy is that you ever became a gang member in the first place. You didn't have enough decision-making skills to understand what's right from wrong, to understand that that's a dead-end road. It only leads you into, you know, something that you really don't want to be a part of. You know, the limelight, the gang, the fun, that's cool. It seems like it. It's not even cool now that I'm older. I don't like it. But back then I did. You know, someone left me a comment yesterday and they actually put some food for thought right here. It was a great comment. But he kind of went in on me and he was like, you know what? You were part of that lifestyle. You swam in those waters too. A gang member doesn't deserve shit. They deserve this. They deserve that. A lot of hatred towards gang members, not understanding that a lot of people get involved in gangs, not because of the limelight and the show off and a lot of them are seeking family or validation, or they're seeking love that they're not getting in their home. And so a lot of kids are misled to believe that they're going to get that canalismo and that friendship and that love from a gang. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They want to be included. Battery's not included, but they want to be, right? And in the end, it's a different way of thinking. It's a different mentality. And you don't know it unless you grow up in the poverty areas where gangs are, where they're prevalent, right? But again, I'm not justifying any of the actions or any of the things I did. I made some poor decisions and I lost a lot of years of my life with my family. I lost a lot of years of my life with myself to develop into a better human being. But I used it. I pulled the Chicano U-turn and I reversed my ways of thinking into positivity, into doing something better for myself and doing something better for my children and family. So I did that, right? Now, that 21-year-old that was killed, people are saying, oh, he was an active norteño, a gang member, this, and that. Regardless of what he was, he's not going to be able to experience being a great father or seeing his children, you know, walk down the aisle or graduate high school. There's a lot of things he's not going to experience. And it's not because of poor decisions, because the only decision he made that day was to get up and go support a friend, go support family, and pull up to that birthday party. He didn't do anything negative. Now, there's people that are saying, oh, he had that coming. He was this. He was putting in work. Again, just like with Obdulia Sanchez, karma will catch up to you. Nobody has violence coming, but sometimes you can't escape God's plan. God's plan. You just can't, right? And that's just the fucking truth. The fact is this, man. Before people jump on the internet and try to tie these two incidences together, the only ties that bind is the city of Stockton, California, who in past videos, I said, even in the video yesterday, it's a very grimy place to grow up in. It's a place, man, that's not totally bad, but there's some bad people there. You know, but that's every city in the state of California. Let me explain to you why Stockton gets a bad reputation, leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and why. The city of Stockton, California, a couple years ago filed bankrupt, a few years ago. That city and the city of San Bernardino are two cities in the state of California that are just went down. They're high on the murder rate. They're high on the top 5 cities in the state of California that not to live in, that are poverty-stricken, drug-related, gang-related. And that's what usually happens. When the city doesn't have money to put into funding for positive movement, then you're going to get a lot of negative energy and a lot of negativity, a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, a lot of gang members, right? Because they thrive off those two things. And that's just how that is. Now, as far as Obdulia goes, you know, I just think it's very crazy that her name pops up and it makes me think, damn, what a small world we do actually live in, that someone who actually became national news and went semi-famous because of what she did live streaming is tragically killed. You know, I've seen it before. If you guys ever heard of the Steven Stainer story, I've spoke on it back in the days. You know, it's something that happened in the 209 in the Merced area. As a young child, he was kidnapped and held captive till he was over 18 years old. Right from my neighborhood. He grew up right there. I knew his family. His brother Kerry actually turned out to be the Yosemite serial killer. I don't know how that happened, but that was some crazy shit going on there. Again, God's plan, right? Or someone else's plan. But that guy went through everything that he went through. The situations that he went through, being kidnapped and held captive from his family for so many years by a weirdo, right? And when he was able to escape and finally start to get his life together, he tragically died in a motorcycle accident about a year later, right? So what I'm saying is you can't escape what is meant for you. No one knows the time or place. You know, there's people that are very religious that are saying, hey, that was also God's plan to happen at the birthday party. I don't believe that. I believe anytime a kid is tragically murdered at the hands of another human being, that's the devil's plan. I believe that right there is pure evil. I believe that's cowardice. I believe that we are tired and fed up of gang members scaring people where they don't want to come out of their houses, where they're too scared to go into public places, malls, anywhere, because you have this type of shit happening. And for those of you that are blaming the mother, I did a video yesterday talking about how the mother of the child whose birthday party was, how a lot of people are trying to make her feel bad and blame her for having the birthday party. Look, You got to hold everybody accountable for the decisions they make. Did she have poor decision making, knowing that her old man, knowing that there was going to be some gang members at that party and that people were actively seeking them? Whether she knew or she didn't, she was kept out of the loop, and we don't know. We don't know her personally, right? The bad decision, it's never a bad decision when you're trying to do something good for your child. The bad decision or the hasty decision they made was having it in a public forum, but everyone does that. You know, growing up Mexican, American, Chicano, man, we always did big parties, quinceañeras, and let every fucking buddy know it was going down, right? There was always gang members. Sometimes things went down, sometimes things didn't. But no one can be fully prepared for a fucking active wild shooter to come in and start shooting at kids and anybody moving, right? You can't prepare yourself for that, and you can't blame a person for having a birthday party for their child. Now, if she knew her old man was an active gang member, was in the mix, and that they were actively seeking him or looking, she should have thought better. And it takes two to tangle. We can't just blame the mother. The father is actually involved as well. And he could have put a stop to it. He could have said, hey, look, I don't want to put my child in danger. I don't want to put anyone else in danger. How about we take a step back and we don't do this right here, right now, right? We do it in a backyard or in the house or something. And maybe the woman would have or wouldn't have listened. I don't know, man. Chicks in the 209, they ain't trying to hear what we got to say. But still, it's not a laughing matter. The fact is, now there's dead people and the blood is on her hands, she feels, right? And other people feel. And it's unfortunate that you want to treat the mother that way. I know I defended her yesterday, but I can't see where people's logic is in the situation. Yeah, it was partly her fault. It was everybody's fault, man. Everybody's fault who was in the knowing that gang members were out there pursuing certain individuals at that party. And that's just period. You can't wiggle your way around it, man. You're out there doing stupid shit. You're going to get stupid results. And this was very stupid and could have definitely been prevented, man, if they didn't have that birthday party, or if these dudes had any common sense and realized that there was children and didn't target a fucking child's birthday party. Cowardice act. Now, as far as Abdulia goes, that's an ongoing investigation. Like I said, the detectives don't know if it's gang related or why it happened, but I just thought it was an odd story to tell, you know, because she became semi-famous as a live streamer. You know, I think to myself with Abdulia getting 6 years, okay, any person who takes a life, I believe 10 years and up, that's what it warrants, right? Especially if it's like a manslaughter, it's an accident, you know, that gives them time to educate themselves, to invoke emotion, to feel some hopelessness, and to understand, get an understanding and educate themselves on what they did and how they could have prevented it. So in the future, they can move on and kind of deal with their emotions and what they got going on. Her getting 6 years and then being released after a year is due to the CDC being overcrowded. This is what's happening now in this era we're living in. There's so many people doing so many crimes, right? They don't care anymore. It's all about the clout and the attention and social media and things like that. That these prisons are continuously overcrowded, and people that actually need to be there for rehabilitation and to work on themselves and to get a better understanding of why stupid moves get stupid results, they get released back into society. Now, I don't want to sit here and say Abdulia was doing bad shit and that her life was still on that course of negativity, but her karma definitely caught up to her. And so now Stockton is not only reeling from a mass shooting, but now you have drive-bys continuously that go on. That, look, the people who did the shooting, the mass shooting at the birthday party, coward shit. I don't give fucking, you can't just, I don't care if dude had it coming. He could have had it coming anywhere else but a kid's birthday party. That's all that matters, right? Children died, and that ain't good. No justification. As far as this chick in the drive-by, it just boggles my mind that people are continuously shooting. You guys, your city just had a big, it's going down right now. Feds are looking, ATFs, everyone's looking. And believe they're trying to build RICOs on whatever group or gang did this. They're assed out. We already know they done open a can of fucking worms that are going to do the wormy dog on them, right? Wiggling. And you still have dudes that have the audacity to pick up guns and go out there and do drive-bys and shooting. Even after the city is going through all that, have some respect for your city, for your body, or for your neighborhood, and chill for a little bit at least. Damn, man. That's how crazy this world is. Motherfuckers have no chill whatsoever. Anyways, I just thought it was a twist that Abdulia was gunned down in a drive-by, and how people were trying to tie these two crimes together. They absolutely have no ties. That's just Stockton for you. Something can happen on the east side. Something can happen on the west side, man. It just is the way it is. Like I said, Stockton is on fire, and the world's attention is on Stockton right now, and people are fed up and tired. Let me know what you think. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. This video is sponsored by Vario Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're in the area, go get you something cool, refreshing to drink from the homeboy Lolly. Tell him Gunner sent you, man, and thank you. Bang, bang. Bang, bang.